like I'm eating my already eaten banana.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing, three cool villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Beelzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another Prank Bros episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 528, recorded on Sunday, May 18th, 2025. Tonight, we're talking about the winner of the May poll, which is Milkin Cereal from 2024. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show tonight. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy Rand Diesel. What's up?
What do you mean you don't like it?
What's going on, baby? Let's talk. Let's talk about some milk, some cereal with a C, some cereal with an S, whatever comes to mind, really. I'm excited.
Big dairy fans over here. We just chug milk on the regular. Can't
Big dairy,
can't get
not
enough.
a big lactose fan, though. Ironic.
Bit of a dairy nut. Next up, calling in from Seoul, South Korea, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up, boys? It's your boy. They're magically delicious stains. They're great.
They're great.
They
great.
are not.
Nice capper on that.
They're
They're
great.
great. That's
They're great.
the second half of the slogan, often forgotten.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
great. Take my word for it, please. Last but not least, making his triumphant return to this show, writer, director, editor, all-around good guy. Welcome back, Franklin Rich. What's up, man?
Hello. I'm oh my God, there's applause. Holy crap.
The studio
Studio
audience.
is
That's real. Yeah, that's real
sitting
applause. I didn't realize you guys had a live audience. That's awesome. I'm just so happy to be a part of this balanced breakfast and ready to jump into this with you guys. This is gonna be fun.
Awesome, man.
All right.
Yeah, thanks so much for sitting in with us again. You like I mentioned, you yourself, you're a filmmaker, and I think talking about this movie specifically is really kind of perfect to have you on. We'll get to all that, but you, like I mentioned, you're also an actor, and you're going to be in Mike Flanagan's latest joint, The Life of Chuck, coming out here shortly. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. No, I'm stoked about it. I think it's gonna be funny because I don't know if you guys are gonna review it because it's not a horror film. It's a real kind of departure for Mr. Flanagan, but one that I think people are gonna absolutely love, and one that's gonna. I mean, he's obviously just such an incredible filmmaker and has done some amazing works in the genre space. And this is obviously an adaptation of a Stephen King short story, but it's definitely more sort of on the side of, Stand By Me and, The Green Mile than it is to King's horror works. And it is just such a beautiful, breathtaking sort of meditation on mortality and dancing. I mean, like it's so kind of out of left field. But there's also sort of an apocalyptic sort of element to it, and I don't want to spoil what the story's about. You really should go in as blind as possible, but it's coming out June 6th. I have like one line in it in the first few minutes of the movie that I'm very, very proud of. I got to work with an amazing group of people, including Chiwetel Ejiofor and Harvey Guillen and David S. Malchin. It was an absolutely amazing opportunity, and I'm super grateful for it and for Mike. But yeah, if you guys are free, in June to go check it out, I couldn't recommend it enough. I've seen it a few times now. I got to see it at Mike's house when I visited him in LA, and then at
Whoa.
Toronto
Let's not
International
brag
Film
too
Festival.
hard.
What's that
Yeah, and then I
address
got to
again? Let me go ahead and get.
I haven't.
Oh yeah, I've been
Yeah.
there. It's
Lost.
right around the corner from
almost as cool as getting to watch it sitting in front of Mark Hamill and Stephen King.
Oh, shit.
But no,
What?
it
Luke
was amazing.
Skywalker, get out of it.
It was so funny too, because Mark is such an amazingly like genuine, wholesome, like he's like everybody's favorite uncle or like grandpa, but like, and he was so enthusiastic, and then King was like dead silent. It's clear that he doesn't go to movie premieres often. And seeing the two of them like sit together, and Mark is like kind of shooting the shit, and Stephen King is just sort of like just completely like very, very sort of soft spoken. But
Mark,
from
will you
what
shut
I
the fuck
understand-
up?
Trying to watch the
Trying
film.
to watch it. But from what I understand, he loved the movie, and it's got his glowing endorsement, which is again very rare for
Hmm.
Stephen King adaptations. But yeah, I'm excited for people to see it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Better than The Shining. Got it.
Oh,
Put it
hold
on the
hold
box.
That's a pull quote. Free.
I will say it's a completely different kind of King story. It is there's hardly any horror elements to it, but one that will definitely move you in a profound way. I guarantee that.
Awesome, man.
Beautiful.
Can't wait to see it. I know that one line that you got, best line in the whole damn movie.
That's right.
Looking
And it's about the
forward to it.
Wi-Fi going out.
It's a very important thing.
Spoiler alert,
That is a
spoiler alert,
pivotal,
yeah.
pivotal moment.
The
Any,
Wi-Fi.
any moment of any day that loses Wi-Fi is a problem.
We got to get it back. We got to get it back. Awesome, man.
All right, awesome.
Anything else you got going on you want to plug?
Actually, you know what? I will plug. I'm very, very proud to have been a producer on a short film called Would You Rather that was written and directed by none other than Tatum Matthews, who was the little girl in The Artifice Girl.
Awesome.
Of course, she's 16 now and wrote this incredible short film script, sent it to me and to my collaborator Britt, and was like, I want to make this. And we were like, oh my God, this is really good. And so we helped her sort of figure out how to make it, and she directed it herself. She sat with me through the editing process, and it was just such an awesome experience getting to be a part of it. And that's going to be coming out soon. She's sending it out to festivals. I can't wait for people to see it because it's really good. This kid is so flippin' talented, and I'm just thrilled to be a little footnote on her amazing career. It's really, really cool.
Awesome, dude.
That's great.
Excuse me. Yeah, you mentioned the Artifice Girl. If you guys are listening and have not seen The Artifice Girl, definitely check it out. Great movie Franklin made. And also, I've been meaning to tell. I wanted to tell you in person, but the internet is close enough, right? It's basically the same thing. When we were in New Orleans in April for the Overlook Film Festival, I got to meet the owner of the Prytania Uptown, which is like a 120-year-old single screen theater in New Orleans. Super, super kind older dude. I just happened to sit next to him in a screening and we started talking. I found out he owned the theater and he just started like, throwing movie titles at me, stuff that I need to check out. And one of them was The Artifice Girl. And I was like, I happen to know the man that made that. And he's like, well, be sure to tell him he's got a huge fan down here in New Orleans. So I wanted to pass that along.
My
Well, that's
brain
awesome.
is too broken. You said, let him know he has a huge, and my brain filled in a terrible blank. I'm so sorry.
That's actually what
Yeah.
he said.
It's good to know. Good to know that he's a huge fan. With whatever else that's huge. Very cool. Awesome.
He's an
Theater,
engorged
huge
fan
theater.
of.
We're gonna get that rumor going. Let's get it rolling.
Well, the other movie he recommended to me was something called like Cheerleaders in Chains or something. So you never.
Good double feature, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Seem
Oh, yeah.
very, very similar pools to be playing in.
Let's tackle just a little bit of housekeeping on our end here, and then we'll get into the main event. Our June poll is currently posted over on our Patreon website. If you guys support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this June. The theme for June is hurricane season in the movies. You're voting between Our Bodies, 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 Crawl, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
Whoa, Bob. How those numbers looking?
They have not moved an inch since last
Uh-huh.
week.
Man,
Crawl Crawl is on top at 44% of the vote. Second place is tied between Bodies, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, 28% each.
Yeah, but
Did-
44, that's not like a huge lead though. That could swing
Yeah.
easy, I think. So,
You
like your
never can
boy.
tell.
God,
I'm sorry, what?
you big flirt. Yeah, get those votes in before the end of the month. We'll see what we're talking
Go
about.
Gator.
Go Gator.
Go
Crawl.
Does anybody
Gator
know
Bay.
was Crawl filmed in Florida? I mean, I assume it must have been because that's pretty much a typical day in
Yeah.
Jacksonville.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Japan alligators
I'm not
get
sure if it
loose
was
in
or
the
not, but-
hurricane, you know? Stay
I
under-
know. And then they live in your giant crawl space that doesn't flood somehow.
One of them big Florida crawl spaces.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
known
we're
for.
notorious for our basements in Florida.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Having them and whatnot. Sorry.
In other Patreon news, we got mini casts dropping every other Friday. We just dropped one last Friday on Sinners. Next up, Friday the 23rd, Juice, I believe you're talking about Severance Season 2.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. That's been a consistent show, even though there's only 2 seasons or whatever. But I thought the second season held up very well compared to the first season. Maybe not as much, but close. Close, I'd say.
Hey, don't give away the ghost just yet.
Well,
You got a
it's,
Patreon for that.
Medium to loose recommendation is what I'm
Yeah,
feeling.
it's
Medium to
medium
loose
to
is what I'm
loose.
hearing.
Mhm.
But
Watch it
yeah,
if you
so
want.
that was good.
Nice. Check that out. Like I said, it's dropping over on Patreon Friday the 23rd. And that's really all we got going on for Patreon. You guys have anything else you need to plug?
I'm
My
good.
house is clean this week.
Bob, you all clean?
Squeaky.
His house is clean.
All right, let's get into the main event. We're talking milk and cereal, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Whoa, Bob, I know you don't have this box because it's on YouTube. How does that make you feel? Incomplete?
Horrible.
Like there's just a missing hole in your life, Bob?
I almost refuse to talk about this movie because I can't buy it on disc.
I believe that.
You know, we got to honor the poll.
You're
Yeah, milk
so
and cereal.
upset you didn't write a plot synopsis, I heard.
That's true. That's true. Outsourced
I
it
went
to
on
somebody who gives
strike.
a fuck.
Milk and Cereal, you can watch this in its entirety on YouTube right now. This came out last year, the runtime of 1 hour and 2 minutes. This was written, directed, and stars Curry Barker. Also stars Cooper Tomlinson, Adley Alvarado, Gloria Carroll, Andy Dubitsky, a handful of other lovely folks. Plot synopsis brought to you by IMDb is as follows. A surprise birthday prank takes a turn for the worse when a popular social media duo must face the reality of the... Wait a minute. Face the reality of the terrifying aftermath. Yeah, that is what it says. I thought there was a typo in there. There wasn't. There wasn't.
No, the typo's your brain.
Yeah, that's correct. Gentlemen, have we seen this movie before? And would we recommend folks check it out? Franklin, why don't you kick us off, man?
I had not seen it, and I was actually confused when you said that I should check it out for the podcast. I was like, okay, it's and then I realized that I had heard of it before. I think from Chris Stuckman had sort of mentioned it before, and the idea of it being this film that's 60 minutes long and free to watch on YouTube. I remember thinking, okay, well that explains it. That's something that I find is really exciting to talk about. I love the idea of a film that was made by a group of friends, kind of just not giving a shit about whether or not they're going to make a profit off of it, just wanting to tell a really interesting, fun story. And so I watched it for the first time this past week, and I'm so thrilled that I did, and I can't wait to discuss it more with you guys. But this was my first time watching it.
Well, that's
Right on.
one step in the direction of forgiveness of the one-sided pretend feud between us and Chris Stuckman. So that's good.
He'll hear about us one day.
Still waiting on that Shelby Oaks, Chris.
It's coming. It's coming.
Randy, what about you, man?
I mean, yeah, I put this on the poll, on my takeover month, explicitly with the underlying intention being that it win, and we get to talk
Oh,
about
are you saying
it.
this is rigged, Randy? Are you
I
saying that
rigged it. I put my
you misled the
I found
investors,
my
Randy? People pay us to vote, okay?
and they got their vote. I just told them what
And
to vote
so
for
did the
and changed it
bots.
if they voted wrong. No. Yeah, I really like this movie for a lot of the same reasons that Franklin just said. Like I'm always a little bit I glom onto things that are DIY and made with labor of love, with finances taking the backseat to just creative drive, and that's like what this is to its core. So like, and the way they released it is enough proof for me to know that just on its face. And then you get to watch it, and it's got a lot more going for it than just that. So yeah, I highly recommend this. There's no reason not to watch this. It costs you nothing, and it gains you a look into somebody's like artistic vision that is worth looking at. So yeah, definite recommend.
Cool. And Randy, am I remembering correctly? This was on your top 10 of last year? Is that
Yes,
right?
it was. I think
Number
my
10.
number two.
Oh,
Let me look. I'm gonna double check that. Let me double check that real
The
quick.
number
numbers.
2?
I
Number
might be
twos.
misremembering. I don't know.
Mm,
Number two.
thanks.
Yeah. No,
You're
it's not
welcome.
number two. Sorry.
Number,
It was
I'm
number
not
five. Number
understanding.
five. Last year was a banger
Yeah.
year. So
Yeah.
Number 5.
it was my number
I
5
thought
out of
2
10.
sounded pretty high. Okay.
What is this
Yeah.
two? You're talking-
What 2?
Juice. Juice, what
Two?
about you?
Is that somewhere after 10? I don't know.
What is
that? Yes, I would recommend people check this out, especially people who enjoy found footage style horror. You know, I know we've got a lot out, especially since COVID and stuff, and it's kind of a bigger boom after it blew up 15 years ago or whatever. But yeah, I thought this was a lot of fun. It's super short, and yeah, I would recommend people check it out. It's easy to watch, and I thought it was had really good atmosphere and yeah, spooky good time. Well, maybe not spooky, but there's a lot of good tension there. Bob, how about you? Would you recommend people check this out?
A tension-filled good time. Yes!
Tension-filled spookiness. No.
This is the second time watch. I watched it last year when it first came out. Definitely recommend this one. I think the DIY nature of it is really like inspiring, and they're just so creative. They do so much with so little. And the barrier for entry here is nothing. Just pull up YouTube and hit play. And treat yourself. I know it's a bit of a thrill ride. It's a roller coaster ride for an hour, and I think if you're a horror fan, you're listening to us, you'll probably get a kick out of it. So, yes, that sounds like a straight up recommend from the Straight Chilling crew here.
Hell
Check her
yeah,
out.
dude.
And cereal, milk and cereal.
I knew it had to come at some point. I'm glad you pulled that one. Cereal and milk. We are going to be spoiling the shit out of milk and cereal, and here comes your warning.
What's on the back of the box?
Rand Diesel. Wait, that was
That's
not the
right.
spoiler warning.
That was not the
I
spoiler.
was like, wait a second.
Yep, that's right.
Huh.
I'm nervous. I have to read a thing.
I know. It's like, whoa.
Here we go. Relax. Everyone relax.
Spoiler warning.
Want to talk about that box again, huh?
I'm
I
supposed
had
to be
my
on
mind and
autopilot.
eyes
What's
on an
wrong?
entirely different part of the screen.
I have
All right,
my
yes.
beats. Come on. Rand Diesel. I hear that you have been roped into doing the plot synopsis this week.
I have, and this
assume
is
you
a-
kept it short.
Not for this movie, and not for me. Certainly, I'm not going to keep it short. I expect Bob to, but I'm not going to.
All
All right, here
well,
we
hit
go.
us
This
with
is
it,
our
Randy.
synopsis. This film begins with a prank YouTuber named Seven, Cooper Tomlinson, filming himself He's wishing his best friend and creative partner Milk Curry Barker a happy birthday. He then goes on to tease a massive prank he has brewing for Milk. Seven and their mutual friends Naomi and Link begin to break down the prank's components. They have sourced stage squibs, an actor named Jason, and a handgun with illegal blanks from a shady dealer. Later, Milk and Seven host Milk's birthday party at their place. Link, Naomi, her girlfriend Laura, and others arrive for a small party. They drink and play games until the actor Jason arrives. Milk grows annoyed at this. During an off-screen argument, the prank truly begins. Jason holds a gun to Naomi and fires a blank directly at her, discharging the squib and frightening Milk. The group celebrates a prank well done afterwards. Milk takes this in stride until there's another knock at the door. They open this door to find an older man, their neighbor, complaining about the noise gruffly. He forces his way in, intimidates the group, and then leaves. Milk seems convinced that this is just the next stage of a prank. And then he, Link, and Naomi set out to the 7-Eleven, to the convenience store, and see the man in public and confront him in the night. I have this. I'm summarizing my own writing at this point. Milk mocks him, still seemingly convinced that it's just an act. We jump to the following day. Seven and Milk are awakened to find this same man sitting on their couch. He ends up sobbing in front of them about a feeling like a girl trapped in a man's body and suggesting that he was somehow harmed by religion. Milk then speaks with him privately, and he agrees that he and Seven will go to this man's place for dinner. At dinner, the pair drink wine with the man named Greg, who seems to then drug them both. They wake up in the desert, tied up, held at gunpoint as Greg raves. He demands that one of them die along with him, putting a gun on the ground between them. Milk suddenly tosses sand into Greg's eyes and tells Seven to shoot. Seven does so, and Greg falls over. Milk then reveals this is all part of his prank. The pair laugh together until they discover that the gun they had fired had a live round in it and has actually killed Greg. We flash to 3 days prior. Milk gives a testimonial, and we see him meet Greg and his adult son, Frank. He convinces Greg to act as a plant in his prank at this time. Back at the night of the party, Milk films himself in his car, eerily speaking about stealing a jacket from Naomi's girlfriend, Laura. It becomes clear that he's not emotionally stable, to put it lightly, and this is something that he has done before. Milk later calls Laura and creates a ruse by which he gains access to her address. He then kidnaps her and takes her to an unknown location and ties her up. We see additional footage at this time of Greg and Milk talking at various times, collaborating on this prank, but Greg does not agree to drug anybody. He's very against it. Milk convinces him to participate under the condition that Greg not be party to the drugging and not film it, which, of course, ends up not happening that way. Back to the night of the shooting, Milk coerces Seven into burying the evidence to avoid jail, the evidence being the body of Greg. Milk encounters Milk encounters a policeman while waiting for Seven to buy shovels in a hardware store, but it's a false alarm. They're let off because he parked in a handicap spot, if I remember correctly. They buried the body, and Seven then becomes emotionally reclusive. Link and Naomi come by, and Milk reveals that Greg was part of Milk's prank. He tells them some details but keeps it vague and says nothing about the actual violence, playing it off as a normal prank that went well. When Seven discovers this, he fistfights Milk and quits the prank channel in front of Link and Naomi. Milk is then shown a half-dead Laura still tied up. He sends a breakup text to Naomi with her phone, blocks her, and then beats her face into the ground until she dies. He then takes to playing with Seven's mind. He starts sending him texts from Greg's phone. He engineers situations just to gaslight Seven into thinking he's insane, knocking on walls, that sort of thing. Unexpectedly, Greg's son Frank shows up at their door asking about his father's whereabouts. Ryan. I don't know why I wrote that. Frank becomes convinced that his dad ran off to Vegas, but Milk and Seven begin to worry that he'll eventually blame them. Milk coerces Seven into plotting another murder, this time targeting Frank. Link and Naomi, on their own, begin trying to figure out what set off Seven and what caused him to leave this prank channel. They start investigating. Seven and Milk begin their next murderous plot. Seven shows up on Frank's doorstep with spy glasses through which Milk watches. They are easily clocked. He manipulates Frank into his bathroom, allowing Milk to sneak up behind him and stab him in the neck, killing him. Seven then has a mental break and begs Milk to turn him in. Meanwhile, Link and Naomi find vials of blood and other eerie tokens of victims in Milk's bedroom. This includes Lara's blood. They encounter Milk back downstairs, his arms full of trash bags, and they all play coy, and Milk eventually leaves, uncertain that they believed what he said. Milk then films one more testimonial of himself at Frank's home. He gloats about the situation, saying that his ultimate goal as a serial killer is to convince Seven to kill himself. Suddenly, he turns the camera to the doorway where Seven is standing there holding a gun on him. He shoots Milk and then shoots himself, and the film ends. Perfect read, no notes. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you,
liked how
Randy.
short it was.
I know, it's very compact. Just the facts, ma'am. You know?
It was only like 10% of the actual film, you know?
Not bad. You'll do better next week, Randy. Don't worry.
Yeah, you got
I
this,
will, because I
Randy.
won't be doing a damn thing.
Boys, would y'all help me bury a body out in the desert? What y'all think? Y'all get a call from Shaboy, and I need y'all to bring some shovels.
I'd have to ask some questions before.
Nope,
saying,
no
you know,
questions.
That's
Bob.
a big mistake.
I'm just
Don't ask
counting
any
on your
questions.
unquestioned
Click is the answer to
loyalty.
your question.
It's a hard pass for me. Then I'm saying, and also the desert. I feel like we'd have to drive quite
Oh,
a
that's
while.
true. How about the
Yeah.
swamp? The swamp, okay?
Oh,
You
yeah,
shouldn't
you know, I
need
could do a
help with the
swamp.
swamp.
Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Bury a body in the swamp.
I'm
That's
very
pretty-
afraid of coyotes. That's my big hang up with the desert part.
Rent an airboat. Yeah, we can figure it out for
Yeah.
sure.
right.
Franklin, how are you feeling about this, man? Why don't you jump in with some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean I think it's like I said before, it's awesome getting to see a group of filmmakers just kind of willing a film into existence like that. Obviously, I think I read that this film had a budget of $800, which is absolutely fantastic to hear. Obviously, they must have spent a little bit of money on maybe the squib and some of the props and the effects, but the rest is clearly just their friends and their own personal homes filming everything just kind of in their own world. I know that this guy Curry Barker is his name. Have you guys watched any of his other stuff on his channel? I know that he does like some sketch comedy stuff, and he always sort of plays a weird character. But I hadn't really watched any of his stuff. Had you guys seen his stuff before?
Not
Just
before
this. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've
I
seen it
hadn't.
since. I've seen some since, and it's.
But I watched the
mostly
film
comedic.
with a good friend of mine who I guess knew his channel and knew about his other stuff. And he's like, yeah, he always plays this like weird, creepy, like weirdo guy in all of his sketches. And he's like, it's kind of cool getting to see him play a very normal character at the start of the film.
Yeah.
And then when things occurred, it was like, oh yeah, no, this is definitely more his wheelhouse. This is definitely what he's good at. And I will say, like, his performance is absolutely terrific as Milk is really, really stellar. And obviously he probably had a lot of opportunity to kind of massage and workshop his character, since a lot of the sequences where he's kind of doing that, he's alone with the camera himself, with the camera and himself. So you can tell like he had really put a lot of his own sort of acting chops into that role. It was really impressive to watch, and I liked the other guy as well. I thought he was a strong actor. Performance wise, it was really refreshing to see their portrayals.
For sure. Like I think that Tomlinson is like, I think they're like partners for real in their comedic endeavors, if I understand correctly. Because they're definitely like collaborators on that channel anyway. So like, but this like movie is seems to me to be like pretty much a showcase for Curry.
Yeah.
As much as it's good in so many ways, a lot of the like core principle things. I mean, directed, written, all those things. Like the behind the camera stuff is largely Curry, but with obviously with the help of his friends and cohorts. But like also all the screen time he gets, like you said, he really uses that screen time to his advantage. He does not miss a beat on this shit. That just him giving like an eerie smile really sells. It really fucking sells.
Yeah. I really hope we get to see this guy in some other like larger profile films. Like I hope he continues to keep making the stuff that he and his friends want to make, and keeps putting out really interesting, low budget films on his channel or wherever whatever he wants to be doing. I hope he's able to do that. But I would like to see him like in a film with some other sort of larger names. I think he would really hold his own and kind of have a really great breakout if he was given that opportunity. Um,
Maybe in Mike Flanagan's next film. You never
Hey,
know,
yeah.
you know?
I'd be curious to ask Mike if he's seen this or if he's heard of this. He's the kind of person that watches tons and tons of indie films, and I know this would be right up his alley. But yeah, I could totally see this guy in a Netflix show, and everybody kind of is just like, we don't know who this guy is, and especially if you kind of do a similar thing like with Milk, where he sort of starts and just sort of seems like this normal, unassuming kind of guy. And then slowly we begin to sort of peel back the layers and reveal that there's definitely something more nefarious and creepy and sinister going on under the surface. It's really effective.
I've always been a creeper.
That's right.
When he's in the car and he starts talking about stealing that jacket, and his like mask kind of starts to slip, it's like chilling. He really kind of nails that moment, and I love that turn because up until then, yeah, seems kind of like a happy-go-lucky dude you could hang out with or whatever, but whenever that starts to slip, you're like, oh, this guy really does have some chops. That's interesting to see. And this does seem like a great way, like a great jumping off point, like a way to get noticed, maybe to get funded. I know the Philippou brothers had like a pretty successful YouTube channel before they got hooked up with A24 to make Talk to Me. So it seems like, there's some YouTubers out there that are picking up a little bit of steam. And hopefully this does lead to something else for him in the future. I didn't do like a ton of research to see if that's the case. I know this has been out for about a year, I want to say.
Said
So
9 months. I just checked the YouTube channel. It said uploaded 9 months ago.
okay, so not
Yeah,
quite a
Closer
year.
to 10,
So
yeah.
yeah.
I
So
mean, sorry, Juice, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say I also too it was his performance was good, but also I think it was important, especially with this low budget thing, that the chemistry felt right between everyone when they're all hanging out. Even not even like I thought Seven did do a good job, but even just the other supporting cast too of the friends going out to the convenience store and having the birthday party and even kind of like having the disagreement of like why would you invite somebody to my birthday party? Like everything felt like leading up to the twist or whatever, it felt really organic for a time when not too much was like happening. You already know the prank's going to go off and stuff like that. So, yeah, I thought it felt very natural. And I thought that that also was a very important element to keeping me engaged until, the twist happens or whatever. So, yeah, I thought everybody did quite a good job.
It's such an interesting movie the way it's portrayed too. Like I don't know. I don't know what to attribute this to exactly, but it's a weird like method of drilling down because you start off with the complete artifice of a prank channel, which is like the most like it's like the least authentic thing in the world. Most of those channels aren't pranking anybody in the first place. So like there's nothing about it that feels all that authentic until but you start to see like the interactions between these people that starts to feel authentic. The spaces they inhabit feel authentic, and that's for good reason because it likely is their apartment. It likely is their best friends like that are doing this. And then you keep drilling and you find out that all of that, at least for our principal character, is an artifice as well. I don't know, man. I think I'm stuck on the word artifice because you're here, Franklin. I'm not
Sorry.
sure
Yeah,
on
have that effect on people.
but I don't know. I really like the way it sort of like starts you at the tip top and you're like, okay, this feels like bullshit. And then it goes like, oh, okay, this feels authentic. And then it goes, oh, that authenticity fucked me. I'm in an actual horror movie right now. I don't know. I really enjoy that. It was really engrossing and like you can like it's tough to cast that kind of authenticity. It's tough to set dress that kind of authenticity. That's why these kinds of things are so effective and underseen some because they don't have the financial backing, but it really like it goes a long fucking way entirely on its own.
I can't help but feel like the fact that it's free to watch on YouTube also contributes to the eerie feeling of watching it. The fact that it's not like you go to a movie theater and you sit down and you're watching a video that's made to look like something you would find as like found footage cut together, unlike on like a dark website, like, and it just it's a different kind of sensation. But the fact that you just like click play on YouTube and watch it, I think adds to that experience of what the film is trying to get you to feel like. And I thought that was really interesting and effective. I don't know if it would have the same effect if you watched it on Amazon or even on something like Tubi. I think not just that it's free, it's also just the fact that it's on YouTube. It creates this special sort of element to the experience.
That's a really
Yeah.
good point. That's something I was thinking about too, because I was just I don't know, for things to kind of travel by word of mouth these days, of like, oh, you got to check this out, you got to check this out. And I was thinking about like a younger audience too, of like, back in the day, you had to like, sneak like a tape somebody already had or like get into the theater or whatever. But like, yeah, just to be able to like go on YouTube and watch this kind of like horror movie as like a younger audience and like have it spread that way through people just kind of like recommending it or talking about it or just like gaining steam and stuff like that's pretty cool. She'd be like, "Oh,
I
there's
mean,
this horror movie that like is like really, yeah, I don't know. It's fun to just kind of like throw it on in your bedroom and just like kind of be like, what am I gonna experience here?"
I mean, that's a whole subsect of horror when it
Yeah.
comes to the internet is like this thing like on our friends Cut Above, I was on their show talking about Gemini Home Entertainment, which is like a series of shorts basically in the I'm forgetting the word now.
Analog horror. It's the whole
Yeah, yeah.
analog horror movement, which is exploding,
Right.
and has been exploding over the past few years. And Skinamarink is like one of those few analog horrors that got into theaters and like
Mm-hmm.
made a shit ton of money. Especially because it was made for like with this film for like a couple $100.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think there is something to like the Gemini series and Angel Hair and the Mandela catalog. Yeah, there is something about watching it on YouTube that makes it extra scary.
Mm-hmm. It's the feeling of discovery, which you don't get when you pay for a ticket, sit down with a tub of popcorn. Which, not to say anything negative about those things, because we're trying to save movie theaters here, but but that's something you go for. Like you go for a million other kinds of visual medium to see it that way and to get comfortable, and you're going into a story or launching into something. What's great about these is or what this and this sort of thing is that you're launching based on just like clickbait almost, like, oh, what is this weird thing, and you click it and then you discover something, and there's some you just can't.
You're
That's another
finding the
thing that's hard to
footage.
replicate. You are finding the footage yourself. Like, people
Yeah.
love that sensation. They have all experienced that in some degree with something that isn't intended to be horrific or weird, but just something that they are excited that they found. And to make it something horrific like this, it just, I don't know, it speaks to me. And I have a lot of positive feeling towards that sort of, like, I don't know, that sort of DIY fucking go get 'em attitude when it comes to creating something for the internet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it just breaks down those barriers, I mean, I know they have like a YouTube channel and stuff like that, but like you said, Bob, it was like 2 years ago. Talk to Me came out, and of course that was like a full scale film and film and stuff like that. But I mean, just people being able to break out when we talked about Skinamarink and yeah, that also just being filmed in his house and stuff like that. It's just kind of like encouraging. I know for every success story you hear, there's hundreds, thousands more of people, trying to make short films every year and stuff like that. So it's not like, I guess it's a little bit of like a Cinderella tale and stuff like that. But it is encouraging to know that there's not just like one method of success. It is, especially for like a younger audience, this like encouragement to just make something, to just try,
Mhm.
to just like pull some small resources together and do something. If nothing else, then it's just like fun to create, and it just kind of like, hones your skills and stuff like that. And then, maybe you do get something like this. So, yeah, I think I do. I mean, we used to do stuff like this all the time too, and we were younger, and it is just fun to see
It
people
was
find
way
success.
better than this,
It was
though.
certainly
Yeah.
way. We
So
just didn't
good.
have YouTube, That's the
We
thing.
don't have the
heart
That's
to-
why we didn't make it.
We don't want to make the rest of the filmmaking public look bad by releasing that.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna keep
Kids
that
Yeah,
these
so
days.
we'll,
Yeah.
we'll hold on to that. But
They're,
It's in
they're
the vault.
spoiled.
Straight Chilling Vault is chock full of goodies. Um,
I something that like kind of struck me as pretty original in this movie is like the idea of having a serial killer who he seems to have only like one rule that he tries to abide by, which is that he doesn't kill his friends. That's like one of the
I
things he
have
says.
morals. I'm a
Yeah.
good person. I have limits.
I tell myself that all the time.
I won't kill my
You're a
friends.
good person.
Control yourself!
But he is not afraid to totally lean in and manipulate and gaslight his alleged best friend into to where he wants to put him in a situation where he's going to just kill himself, which is almost more sinister that you wouldn't just, shoot him in the back of the head and get it over with. You're going to drive him absolutely crazy first. And I love how he defines gaslighting as pranking someone but making them think they're wrong. I was like, that is so fucking sinister, man. That idea was just super, it felt fresh and original when it comes to like a serial killer type movie, I guess.
It also just feels like honestly like a natural extension to some of the weird fuckers who actually do this kind of shit. It doesn't feel like it's untrue about somebody, that there's somebody
Yeah.
out there that's willing to take it. Like the thrills people get from pranking each other, it's supposed to be lighthearted or whatever. And the bigger it goes, the more views it gets, so they make it bigger and they make it bolder or whatever. But ultimately, like, most of those people are doing it to just for a lark, just for the spectacle of it, and at the end of the day it's harmless. But every so often there's somebody who just needs an excuse to fuck with somebody. There's like McCamey Manor type fuckers out there that just want
Yeah,
an
dude.
excuse to do heinous shit to people because that's what they want to do. So
Well,
I feel
even
like it's
now-
a natural extension.
Well, even outside of that, because that dude like runs a business where people come to
Ran.
him and pay for it. But then you have these.
It was free.
Well, so one of the big things too is like tying it to Korea. That's like just a big story here is the Johnny Somali guy who like came here. He like went to Japan and just causes like all kind of fuckery. And actually now he's facing like 20 years in prison, which is
Oh, shit,
wonderful.
really?
Yeah, they stole his
I didn't know
passport
that.
and like so he's actually going to trial, which is great. But it like in a kind of way, especially like from a younger audience and like just what's going on like socially too, it is interesting too because everything, oh, it's a prank, it's a prank, it's a prank, and they keep like pushing that idea. But it kind of reminds me too of the kind of idea behind like wrestling, or they do it in boxing sometimes. Like you create this villain to have somebody that people want to root against, like, but it brings in a ton of attention and money, and to the point where when they took, at first they didn't put that guy Johnny Somali in jail. They like took his passport and they wouldn't let him leave the country, and he got like so desperate for money that he was still going out into the street to do things because he was stuck in a country where he can't work and he wasn't in prison, and to feed himself he would just go do obnoxious thing in the streets because people would watch and tip him money to do shit. So it's like creating this villain to get paid, or like to feed your channel or to feed your thing. It's like, I mean, these are old tried and true like tested ways of like entertainment, but that have usually been scripted or fake, like wrestling. You create a heel, you need somebody to
Yeah.
root against so the crowd show up and want to see him get his ass beat. But these are like real people's lives, and they're just like fucking with people in real life that have nothing to do with them. Yeah, it's fucking
I mean, this
crazy.
is classic horror territory, though, isn't it? Because it's like fucking clowns. Like,
Yeah, what?
like these are
Fucking
people that are like out there,
clowns.
fucking clowns. No, but like you have these people that like you make somebody like the Joker, and people love it because it's dallying on that line of like, ooh, what if this seemingly innocent thing isn't as innocent, or what if this person does something like that transgresses against somebody else, but it's all fake, so it's fine. It's fine to applaud it. It's fine to applaud the villain and find an anti-hero and applaud, for doing these things. But then somebody gets it in their head that that's cool for real, or they have it in them already that they want to do something and they use it as an excuse. Like there are prank channels I remember from like way back, and I'm sure this is still a thing, where they'll just go around and like just intentionally drop a slur in front of people, and then when they're about to get their ass kicked, be like, "Yo, bro, it's just a prank. It's just a prank." That person clearly just wants to say a slur to somebody. Like it's excuse making for the worst kind of people. But then you also have that leads to the argument of like, is art causing people to do these things, or like, is art imitating life? You get all the way drilled down to bedrock. It's art's fault.
People have no control of themselves. They're being puppeted by art.
You just drill yourself all the way down to the bedrock of human existence, which is like, where is the line? Do I determine where the line is? Does society, and can I cross that line? Can I push the line further? Like, I don't know. There's something really fucking like core about what's being talked about in this.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting evolution in found footage films. In the sort of Blair Witch era, you go back 20 years, right? It was all about like, we're going to record this for preservation's sake or just to sort of document it, right? But now with sort of modern found footage films, it's much more akin to what we're experiencing now, where when you film something, you're filming it for an active live audience. You know, when you look at films like Cam or Spree, right? Like, and this one in particular, it's like we're doing it for an active audience. We already have we're influencers. We're putting ourselves out there on the internet.
Content, not a documentary.
Exactly, it's content now, and I think that that's interesting because the idea of capturing something for preservation's sake, we're going to go out into the woods and film a documentary, feels way less like scuzzy, I guess, or I don't know. It feels like that's a normal, like that's something that is fine. But filming something for content has this association with narcissism and ego and vanity, and so it ends up, I think, being kind of cathartic to watch someone be like, "Hey, what's up, YouTube?" and then getting to see like something terrible happen, because it is like kind of there are things in real life, like the whole Logan Paul filming the corpse and shit like that is genuinely scary and unsettling and eerie about this sort of trend of being an influencer and constantly like putting yourself online. And so I think it's interesting that we're getting more films like this that are kind of showing that side of things where a character is actively making content for an audience. I think it's just an interesting trend in films.
The monetary side of it too.
Yeah.
Like the having to sell your, like make yourself marketable and having to sell yourself. Like, sure, I think I'm guaranteed people that have like huge YouTube followings do have an ego because they know they can see like how many thousand people watch this little clip I just made or whatever. But there's also
it's easy to fall into that trap.
The more people
trap
that watch it, the more money you get because of ad revenue, or at least that's how YouTube works now. So like, yeah, you're like whoring yourself out to the internet too. So there's another level of like scuzziness in that, you know, like, you know, there's people that make quality content and like not dunking on
like
YouTubers because we're on fucking YouTube, you know,
like us.
But
like us.
yeah, there's a bunch of like layers to, yeah, it's not just documentary filmmaking anymore by any means, but yeah, it's wild.
But you also like a lot of times need to make it feel like it is. Like,
yeah,
and that's where authenticity schisms away from it. Like you can create a heel or whatever, and that can be entertaining, I guess, when it's known artifice. But when you're like supposedly documenting yourself,
there it is
like
again.
Logan Paul,
3, 4, artifice.
Did
I say it again?
Yeah, you did.
All right, where's my Malort bottle? I'll take a shot each time.
Oh God, it's gonna get worse.
No, it is definitely gonna get worse. I don't know. Like, I did want to bring up though, like this time in particular, and maybe last time as well. I've seen this like 3 or 4 times now. I was thinking specifically about not necessarily content creators, but people entertaining themselves at the expense of others. That is something that is on the rise. I don't remember where I saw this article. I think it was Washington Post or something. Was talking with somebody who was part of a group that is one of many that makes it their business to go to spaces where people are there to talk about being depressed and try to convince them to kill themselves. Try to convince themselves to commit suicide. It's a fucking rising trend. It's extraordinarily fucked up. And it's something like that's his stated goal in this movie. I feel like I don't even know where to go with that except to say like it's good to shine a light on this shit, I guess, on some level. It makes me feel like disgusting to even like say that shit. Like you have to be a repugnant human being to do that. But it's something because people are like hardwired for the dopamine hit of watching somebody authentically do anything. It can include horrible things. And some people already want those horrible things to happen. They already want to see horrible things. I don't know what to make of it.
I apologize for a quick little tangent. There's a film, and I can't remember what it's called or when it came out. I imagine probably in the mid to late 2000s, but it depicted chat rooms, like online chat rooms, as physical rooms, and they would have the characters come and sit down in these chairs. And the whole sort of premise was that there was someone there who was because it was like a support group kind of thing, right? And
Oh,
there was
okay.
one person there that like we didn't I don't think we see their face maybe and their whole purpose is that they're there to try to convince these people to commit suicide. And I can't remember what that film is called. Does anybody have a
Is it called Chat Room?
very possibly. Yeah.
There's a short film called Chat Room that's more of a comedy, but it's not about that exactly.
Chat
It
room.
does
It's
visualize things that
probably
way.
Chat Room 2010. This
Yeah.
probably it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think this is it. And I just remember that when you mentioned that, I was like, I hadn't thought of that movie in forever. But yeah, it's scary to think about how some people out there are just trying to entertain themselves by hurting others or, damaging, ruining someone's day or back at it again at Krispy Kreme. Like,
Well, it it reminded well because to be fair, we talk about like a growing trend and it just becomes like more available. But to be fair, I mean, it made me think of two aspects that are linked together. In the first being that, the old tapes that were like bum fights or whatever, where the guy would go out and he
Yeah.
would pay homeless people to fight themselves or fight each other or just to do things, these desperate people just trying to get a little bit of money to degrade themselves, to humiliate themselves, to enact violence against other people and to tape it. And then it also then too reminded me that that guy was then invited to go on to Dr. Phil and like explain himself. And when he did,
I
he
know this.
dressed as Dr.
Dr.
Phil and said like and threw it back in his face like that you're just as bad as I am because you exploit people who are like hurting and like humiliate them on public, on television and for like so I mean this like type of exploitation, this type of like fascination with people that are like fucked up, like same thing with like Dr. Phil and shit that was going on like that, like, oh, this divorced family and you bring this dad or like, oh, this man cheated and all the things that it's like I don't know why people have this fascination to just watch people crumble, like
Makes
I
you feel
don't
better
know.
about
I
yourself.
guess yeah, it makes you think like, oh, no matter how bad my life is, at least like I'm not that fucked up or I'm not that bad. Maybe, I guess. I don't
I'm
know.
sure
Ugh.
that's part of it, but the thing is, like, there's also like comparatively innocent versions of this. Like, there's things where it's like I'm interested in people who are on the fringe of society or whatever. I'm interested in seeing like videos of people
Oh, yeah.
from like remote tribes experience like a song that I like for the first time or something. Like,
Mhm.
there's something like that's not harmful about that. It is at its core, you can say it's exploitative. You can definitely say that, and I don't like that's again like where are we drawing the line? Like it's a tough call. Where at what point does exploiting somebody or them exploiting themselves in some way become transgressive in and of itself
Yeah.
versus just an exploration of humanity? Like the humanities itself is is just researching another culture exploitative? I don't think so, but I
Sure.
mean you could make the argument that those things are at least tangentially related. There's a curiosity about the world around us and the people that inhabit it
Yeah.
and how they would react in certain situations. That's why we're interested in stories in the first place.
Yeah. It is like it's a gradient of morbid curiosity. Like
Yeah.
I would never in a million years watch a bum fights video or watch a video of someone doing that to like just some random person, someone exploiting someone like that. And yet, like I just recently rewatched the Borat sequel where you have this incredible like story arc with this nanny and it's just absolutely phenomenal, like how well it works in the context of the story, and is really wholesome and sweet and really beautiful. But also knowing that that woman tried to sue Baron Cohen and tried to like say you completely like lied to me and it really messed me up. And then there's like a show on HBO with Nathan Fielder called The Rehearsal, which is kind of like
Yeah.
if you took Nathan For You and just injected billions of dollars and cocaine into it, like it is a wild ride that ends up like walking this weird ethical line of, is this okay to watch? Like, is it okay that Nathan's doing this? And like, I don't like soft ass shit. So I just think it's interesting how it's like your spectrum of morbid curiosity when it comes to that can like vary. Some
Right.
people, will watch that, but not the other thing. And it is sort of on the same line in a way.
Yeah, because
Totally.
I was just thinking too. I like, I've for many years now, I've enjoyed. I have to be careful with myself, but like Soft White Underbelly as a YouTube channel of like doing these interviews, with people, and then yeah, you like start to look and you think, I mean, like I don't think that guy is exploitative or those things, but yeah, it is. It can be. It easily can be. And I guess I don't know, how do you judge it by the intention or whatever? I mean, this is going like way off from the film that we're supposed to talking about, where it's literally people saying like again and again and again, like it's a prank, bro, it's a prank. But I mean, I think it all like stems from the same kind of idea of like there's a market out there. It's like the same thing, prohibition and like anything. There's a market out there. People are willing to pay, people are willing to buy something. And so there are people willing to explore the different methods of getting that money, getting that attention, getting that. So yeah, it's wild.
This is the honestly, it's the net result of a culture and world that prioritizes achieving, getting things
Yeah.
and power by way, like it's money, it's capitalism.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's capitalism,
Are you trying to diss capitalism here
Not on my show.
I would
on
never.
a movie
I would
podcast?
With the
How
man
dare
with
join our
millions of
Patreon
blues behind him.
Oh man,
Unbelievable. Commie Randy over here.
that's what they call me.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do?
Democracy manifest.
There's always money in the blues, boys.
There it is.
I think it is interesting. Speaking of capitalism, I think it's really awesome that this guy just uploaded it to YouTube.
Mhm.
And isn't charging money for it. Even though I hope in the future he makes stuff that's lucrative and profitable for himself. I think it's really awesome and bold of him to just say, no, I just want people to see this. I think that speaks to his commitment to the art of what he's making more than what the art is going to do for him. So I just really respect that immensely. And even if I didn't like this film, which I really do, I would just be super stoked that someone did that. I think that's
Absolutely.
just super cool.
I mean, there's a lot there, and the thing is, like, he's not that he. I see a he, but I think this really was a group project. He's just sort of like the principal figure in it, but they're not like you were saying earlier. There's a lot of people that are doing that sort of thing. Like there are people that are making money in other places that use that money to fund things like this. Like I immediately think of like Connor O'Malley. I don't know if I've brought him up on this show before.
Oh my God.
You know
yeah.
who I'm talking about, Frank.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
yeah.
His latest, the one that he did, I got to see it at TIFF. I forget what it's called. The one where they're making the rap song.
I haven't seen it yet. Rap
oh,
World, I think it's called.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And his the two Corey short film is great.
Yeah, the two Corys and the mask thing. Like,
but he's
literally
another
everything
person
he-
that's doing that. Yeah, that same
yeah,
thing.
he does that sort of thing. And you could argue like even though he is making money at it, I think that like Nathan Fielder's show, wherever you want to draw the line of ethicalness about it or whatever, I think he's pointing at it intentionally, and he's like intentionally, especially this season, saying like, hey, I have millions of dollars at my disposal to do these elaborate things. What if I did it for the public good? But oops, I also have to make an entertaining show or else I'm in breach of contract. Like, that's where the money's going. How can I hijack this for a reasonably positive purpose? I think is like a really fucking interesting thing to say with your fucking HBO show. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, truly,
I don't
truly.
know.
I'm
But
I'm
yeah,
very
we're
excited.
getting way afield of
Yeah,
the,
sorry.
the
Well,
movie
I
at this
was
point.
I was thinking about to tie it back into the actual film is because it was just mentioned that we praised this one guy and like, oh, Milky, it was such a good performance and stuff like that, but the whole like theme too, or the motivation of him is he was like, oh well, Seven's trying to like kind of push me out or a little bit, or he's controlling and he took the password away and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And knowing that this is such a group project and that like one person is like getting the attention and stuff, it does make you wonder about, like for instance, Seven and how much he has to do with this film outside even just of like, writing and editing and stuff like that. But like, oh, all eyes are over here on this guy or whatever. It is like a kind of fun dynamic because it is so close to reality, the truth of like what could happen. And that's part of like the titillating part too, of like the plan that this guy comes up with when we see him take the jacket and then call Laura or whatever and then just like get her in the car. It's like completely reasonable. We're not stretching like the imagination here of like what could really happen. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, for something like that to play out in that way. And so I think that also makes it feel that type of horror too, once you realize that he's so fucked up. And just the simple mask too, and how his like face is mushed up in it. Like they did a good job, I think, of like really balancing that line of reasonable reality while capturing the tension and fear and be like, "Ooh, this is kind of like disturbing," even though I know it's fake, but it's like close
Mhm.
enough to reality to be bothering me. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
it's
something
good.
like, I kind of relate this movie a little bit with like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, a movie I have a hard time watching, but it's like the modern version of that where like the intentions behind it, like the justifications for these actions are just different. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's the same basic guy. Like, it's just like he's erratic, he's emotional, but he's also very controlled when he needs to be, and uses that control as liberally as he can to manipulate people into a web that causes their own destruction for his entertainment. Like, that seems like related. That's like, we're it's these same impulses that people have eternally. Like, certain people have had, those people have existed in society for eternity. They just justify their actions in different ways. Sometimes it's religious angles, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, sometimes it's, I'm going off to like fight for my country, and you use then napalm a fucking small village. Like, whatever it is that you like,
Whoa,
these
commie
people are
Randy
finding
over here.
ways.
Heyo.
First it was
Shit.
capitalism, now he's going after our war.
Red Randy.
Going after our favorite wars.
You can't take
Never
my
forget what the
war.
left took from us, boys.
Damn.
That's great.
Our wars.
Our wars, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I
See
know.
you guys
But,
in the gulag.
but also too, it's an interest. I mean, talking about even like filmmaking too, and like a limited thing, there are also choices too of one thing that I always enjoy about found footage is to be able to have this spectrum. Like you can go and watch a movie, but it's crafted in a certain way. Like music is infused to strike emotions or to create tensions or to drive these certain things. And then on this other end, you have a movie where you might just want to watch something that is feels as close to authentic as possible. Like there's no music, there's no cues, that's not how it happens in real life. And it's this kind of like cathartic thing to like experience a kind of real fear as close to reality as possible. And you have like just this huge range of visual mediums that like one has this kind of rules and lighting and this has got to be right or this is how it's done or whatever, and then over here you just have people who are like, oh, let's just get our friends together and just do some shit for 800
That's the
bucks or
thing.
whatever.
I mean, I'm a known immersion bish. Like that's my thing. That's why I love found footage. That's why like the
what we
thing
all
you're
say about
describing. I
you.
love it. I know.
Immersion
But
nuts.
I,
My
I'm
boy
a bit of an
Randy,
immersion nut.
he's a bit of an immersion
I get
bish.
right inside the shell of the nut, and I don't know. Like but yeah, you're right. Like these are kind of two ends of the spectrum, and the things that most intrigue me when it comes to like movies, let's say, typically are the ones that like skew pretty hard in one direction or the other. The middling area, that's where you get mediocrity, in my opinion. If you're not playing with the line of reality, or you're not playing with the line of farcity or artificiality, like
There it
in some way,
is. Hey-o.
that's artificial. That's a different thing.
It's close
Different
enough.
word.
Hey-o.
Artificiality is not the same word.
Close enough.
I'll take a half shot. But yeah, like I don't know, like those are like two different. Like you look at like The Substance, or we watched at
I was literally about to mention The Substance. I think is a great example of showing the other end of the spectrum from what you're talking about, right? And I like that I think you're absolutely right. You've got the sort of realism side, which is very effective, and then if instead of sort of coasting in the middle, where it's just kind of like, okay, you suspend your disbelief, but for what? And then you've got The Substance, where it doesn't matter that a full-grown woman can't fit inside the back of another woman. Like it doesn't matter.
Whoa.
It
What are you
just doesn't
telling me?
matter because
don't ruin my dreams here.
the film is absolutely bonkers, and you love it because it's so stylized and because it has that
Right.
artifice. It has that that sort of image. By the way, if you ever get Coraline on the podcast with you guys, you got to just say the word substance over and over again.
Okay, I can do that.
Deal.
Also, I was going to bring up though too, like if you listen to our Overlook episode, you'll hear us talk about a movie called Dead Lover, which is like have you seen this, Franklin?
No, I haven't. I haven't. But I've heard
Okay,
that.
you nodded. I wasn't sure if you'd seen it, but it's like
heard of it.
it's deeply stylized, almost to the point of incomprehensibility, like at times. And I fucking love that. I love that. It's gonna like turn a lot of people off, but for me, that's the area you play in if you want to capture my heart as a viewer. Anyway.
Yeah, and you really mostly just get that from the indie side, I feel like. The Substance is one of those rare films where it had a decent budget, but was also willing to just go ham with its style and its own kind of rules of its own world. But like if you want to find something that's really out there, you kind of do have to look for those indie films. Like Hundreds of Beavers is a great example of a film
Fucking
that
love
is
that movie.
there is nothing else in the world that looks like Hundreds of Beavers. And it's so specific in its stylization and its rules of its world. And it works really well. It's not trying to go for realism, so you're not expecting things to work realistically. And that's what makes it so fun. The rules are consistent, and I think that's important, right? Like with The Substance and with things like Hundreds of Beavers, that stylization, the rules should be consistent, and they are, and that's why I think they're great. But yeah, it's different when you're doing something closer to realism and reality, like Lake Mungo or the Blair Witch films. Like it's a different kind of priorities that you have to have. I felt like when working on Artifice that was something that I really wanted to try and try to lean as far into realism as I could without going into found footage. Obviously I still wanted it to feel cinematic in a way, but I also didn't want to have any characters with CGI digital screens pop up and it's like we're in the future and I'm going to do this, or like I didn't want to show any flying cars or big cities or whatever, and just try to keep it feeling as close to just sort of the floor as possible. And so I think that's an important thing for indie filmmakers out there to try to determine, pick a side of the spectrum and really commit to that rather than just kind of hanging out in this, like you described it. I really like that. I hadn't thought of that before, but that kind of boring middle place.
Yeah. I mean, there's room for the Top Guns of the world, but that's not what's going to get me usually. It's going to be something a little more absurd or a little bit more grounded. So that's where I'm at.
Agreed.
Are we
Dunking on the
landing this
Top
plane already,
Guns.
Bob?
Yeah, Bob,
Yes,
come on.
speaking
We've
of
been
Top
waiting.
Gun, yeah, we'll land the plane. Let's go ahead and rate this thing out of 5. Franklin, why don't you kick us off, man? How do you feel?
Yeah, I'll give it a solid 4 out of 5. I would also like to see a 9-minute cut of this. I think a large majority of the issues that I had with it as I was watching were justified because of the twist. And I do like the way that the film recontextualizes a lot of the kind of strange and, in my opinion, when I was watching, I was like, that was a stupid decision. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you call the police? Like, what do you do? And then, of course, by the twist, it's like, oh, well, that explains it all. And aside from just a couple of pacing issues and some editing issues that I had personally, like I was thoroughly entertained and really, really enjoyed this film. Really can't wait to see what Curry and his team does next. I hope they keep making awesome stuff, and I'm excited to see what they do.
Right on. 4 from Franklin. Rand Diesel, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I feel largely the same. We've really, really like we use this movie as a jumping off point to have a great conversation about just films and about reality and like I don't know, humanity as a whole. I think that speaks volumes for it. Doesn't speak volumes about us because I'm not that smart, but that this movie can make me enter smart person's territory is very admirable. I got to give it to him. I really love this movie. I've seen it, like I said, I've seen it 3 or 4 times. I don't get tired of it. It's nice and compact. I could also see a 90-minute cut of it. I wouldn't mind that. I think that maybe pacing is a good call as far as like something to ding it on, but I have a hard time dinging this on anything because it just gets me so jazzed. I have such a heart for it because of where it's coming from and how it chose to exhibit what it wanted to say. And like the fact that it leads to great conversations, the fact that the performances are across the board really great, and especially in the principal character, like I really, really just I don't have a lot of negatives that I can't gloss over extremely easily. So I'm gonna give it a 4.5 personally.
4.5 from Rand Diesel. Juice, what about you?
Yeah, so since we didn't talk about it too much and since Randy went so high, I'll bring up a couple critiques, which to be fair, like it feels sometimes like a little, I don't know. I'm gonna bring these things up, but at the same time in the back of my mind, I'm going like, but yeah, but it was made for $800. I mean, you're kind of like towing that line where, but when you're doing a movie review, I mean, I guess it's worth bringing up.
Hey, sniff them farts, man. Let's go.
Well, I don't necessarily think I'd want to see a 90-minute version of this. And part of what I like is that they were like the self-restraint of being like, I mean, everything's kind of there to what I need. And I think all the main cast did a really good job. The one that started to kind of bother me a little bit was the son, was Frank or whatever. Sometimes the Frank performance or lines and stuff was the ones that felt like were kind of starting to pull me out a little bit. And what I will say too is the first half of this was like very believable for, I mean, I'm not thinking this is happening, but I was just like fully immersed in what was happening and everything like that. And then the second half, there were like moments where things like where they needed to tie things up or they needed to justify things or things needed to make some sense or whatever, or go a certain direction that I like kind of started to see, a little bit of like the strings or what stuff like that. And so like the older guy saying like, looking at the camera and be like, Milk, I told you not to drug yourselves. It's like, well, then why would you take them out to the desert if you're so opposed to the drugging and you told him not to do it and then he did it? Then why are you going to trust him, and why are you going to tie these guys up and take them out of the desert if he's doing the thing that you didn't want him to do? You know what I'm saying? So little things like that start to kind of like pick a little bit away at the foundation for me. But overall, again, I brought up the positives. I did really enjoy it, but I'm going to take it down just a scotch. I'm going to give it a 3.75.
Yeah.
Bob.
I agree with those critiques as well.
No, that's reasonable, but
Oh,
stupid.
hey.
But
You
really,
hate indie
really,
films. God damn you.
That's just the kind of prick I am.
That's
Hell
just kind
yeah.
of the prick I am. Bob. Bob.
Hey. Yeah, there on the second time watching this, there were like some decisions being made and some things that were inserted just, for plot convenience to move the story along that I picked up on that I didn't really on the first time, and it did distract a little bit. Like him keeping like the address written down to his murder shed with a key in his little like blood vial box. It's like, why on earth would he do
Yeah.
that? To make sense,
Fair.
but they have to get there to see what he's done because to move the plot along. Also, like, yeah, Frank going to look in his bathroom to see if his dad is there. Like,
That was weird.
It's
Yeah.
like he wouldn't let this person in his house at all. It just, yeah, certain things like that. Um, I do really like how at the end of the movie they show a hand reach down and like, pick the camera up. Like they show you the footage being found, and that's how the movie ends. I really like that. I can't recall another found footage movie where that happened. I'm sure it happened somewhere, but that just kind of stuck out to me as being kind of neat. The moment where Milk is sitting on the bed and he takes out all the blanks from the gun and he loads it with real bullets, and then he's like just like goofing around in front of the camera and putting the gun at his head, and he's like, oh my God, I almost pulled the trigger. It's like that. There are little moments like that with that character that are just so fucking chilling. They really get under my skin. And I just really appreciate that in this movie. The sort of like confessional moments with Milk, I think really, really stand out. Also, when he's in the murder shed with Laura, and she's like, is this a prank? Because they're pranksters, is what they do. And he's like, nope, you're just unlucky. Life is unfair. Just that cold ass statement is so fucked up. They're great moments in this. The DIY nature, like I said, it's just really inspiring. And I think for what they were trying to do, they really did knock it out of the park. And I can't wait to see what they do next. So some minor critiques, but they feel nitpicky, honestly. So I'm gonna come in with a 4 out of 5 on this as well. That's going to put our aggregate at a 4.1 out of 5 for Milk and Cereal. Let's jump over into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users have to say.
Certified fresh to death.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Rotten Tomatoes segment, in which I'm going to give these folks a chance to guess within the best of their ability what the aggregate positive score is for Milk and Cereal on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, wait. Can't fucking do it.
No.
Not on there.
Really?
I meant to mention that before we started, but
but just with the segment intro and everything.
fuck it. I decided to give it one more go. Maybe one more search will get me there, but no, I'm not finding it.
We could try the IMDb score, assuming that it has one on there.
Let's see.
That's
You
weird.
could, how many likes on YouTube?
Right.
Yeah, that's too
That would be
bad. I love that
hard
idea.
as shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
There isn't. I don't see a star. Oh wait, no, there is a star rating on here. Okay, so this is an out of 10 rating on IMDb.com. So there's going to be no rotten, no fresh. Just give me your best guess out of 10. What do you think that the aggregate score is on Rotten Tomatoes? I'll start with our esteemed guest,
IMDb.
Franklin. What are you thinking?
Yeah, on IMDb, people
say?
are mean. I know
They are mean.
experience. They all just want they want to take a piece out of you. I'm gonna go with it's probably, I don't know, maybe they're really kind to this one in particular. Like everybody has a reason to like really love this movie, despite, how they actually felt about it. Like we all want to support this movie, but I don't know if IMDb gives a shit about that.
Real quick, before you give your score, I just want to say I usually give a count, and there's over 2.5 thousand reviews given. So
2.5 thousand. I'm gonna go with 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. All right, 6 flat. All right, Bob, you come in the middle here. What are you thinking it's going to be for the aggregate?
Coming in the middle with a 7.5.
Nice,
Oh, right
nice.
there. Decidedly not in the middle. All right, Soju, how about you?
Yeah, I don't know because I never look at IMDb scores for things, so I don't know how it
It's depressing.
sways. And 2.5 is quite a lot, but I guess I'll play it safe and go in between these boys, and I'll do the 6.9, please.
Ooh.
6.9. Playing
Good
it
to you.
real safe.
Playing it real safe, sticking with what I
Well-
know.
Well, one of you is just 0.3 points from
Wow.
the correct answer. The correct answer is 6.6. Soju's walking away with the comedy number.
Sticking with what I know, but
God damn.
all right. Well, there you go.
Every
maybe
time.
IMDb just wants every score to be
Never
the comedy
fails,
number,
man.
maybe.
Tried and true.
6.6 is a great score. I
It is.
love 6.6 as a score, and I think that Curry and his team should be very, very proud of a 6.6 on IMDb because 6.6 is actually like really hard to get, you guys. Like it's a really good score, and it's like really, really impressive to get a 6.6. Artifice Girl has a 6.6 on IMDb.
Woo!
So
Very impressive score.
And there's the lead.
Some would say the perfect score.
yeah,
Some would say.
like it's hard to do better than a
There she
6.6, honestly, guys. Like
Higher
you
than
know.
that, too pretentious. Lower than
Exactly.
that, dog shit. So, that's the sweet spot.
Almost
right?
That is-
impossible to get higher than a
That's where it
6.6.
goes.
The
I
Shining
will
got a
say-
6.5.
Yeah.
I will say this, like I'm looking, like I know that like they've done a lot of like short films, like you said, as well, and some of them are horror short films. I've seen The Chair, which was kind of a more hyped up short film that they've released probably the year before this. That's got a 6.8. They've got a few other horror shorts, Warnings, which I haven't watched yet, 6.4. One called Heavy Eyes, 7.0. Like they're kind of hitting pretty strong on the IMDb as far as that goes.
That Heavy Eyes, I heard, was pretty good. And then they had another horror short called Hell Yeet.
Oh my
Mm.
god.
Man, that sucks!
The perfect bump.
That's my winning chant, Franklin. So I got to always sneak it in there.
It was
There's
well,
no
well
sneaking.
delivered.
There's
Bob
no
was
sneaking.
waiting. What was the title? What's the title of that horror short?
I
I gotta
gotta
check this
know.
out. I gotta know what it is. Oh, God.
I could tell
Then
that I could
Just a
could
prank,
tell
bro.
I could tell that they really enjoyed hearing you say that. Enthusiasm
They're always
on the
waiting,
face.
to see how I work it in there.
The disrespect.
What do you mean you don't like it?
All right. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip the reading reviews portion because I don't go into
Oh, yeah.
IMDb reviews. That's just depressing as fuck.
Yes.
Let's call it a day on this segment.
All right.
Rob, you got trivia?
I couldn't find any trivia, and I'm not going to make you play the bump before I say that. So we'll just.
It's totally time for trivia.
Don't you dare tell
Well,
me what
boys,
to
I
do.
couldn't find any
I am not
trivia.
listening to your rules.
Randy's off the reservation over here.
I know. I've been shooting Malort, so you know.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, couldn't really find any trivia about this, but we can continue on with our cooter of the week.
All right.
Straight chillin'! Gooder of the week!
Juice, what is a cooter and why do we hunt them?
Well, big thanks to Jacksonville natives Gimp Brisket for that cooter bump there.
Theme song?
A theme
Oh.
song, yeah. Cooter's character type and a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter has to hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter, but we want the cooter with the most points. The 5 points of cooterdom are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. I think we got a pretty strong cooter. this
Dude,
week.
the name Gimp Brisket just conjures the worst images in my mind. Really. Very
just eat-
distracting.
Oh, yeah.
Just rich businessmen eating brisket off the back of a gimp leather suit as he sits posing as a coffee table.
Extra salty today.
Damn.
Anyway.
Anyways, so I think we could probably clock milk on this one, eh, boys?
Oh, I
I
think,
think,
you were gonna go
I
with
think he's
mine.
got it. Yeah.
Manipulation, very, 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 very high.
Very high on the manipulation scale, yes.
Smug
Yes.
arrogance, very,
Definitely.
very,
Yeah.
very, very, very
Mhm.
high.
Mhm.
Was there any sexual deviance going on?
I kind of
Not
think
really.
so. I think
Think?
he's fascinated with Laura. I think it's implied that one of Naomi's previous dates or girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever had gone missing earlier in the
Oh,
film, which I
really?
noticed on
Okay.
a later watch.
Hmm.
That I think their name was maybe on one of those vials. I didn't double check that, but I'm
Mm.
pretty sure.
So, what you
um,
think he's like obsessed over her then?
I don't know if it's obsessed over her or just like his friends, or like it's like he's got the
Possessive,
people that
yeah.
he
Possessive.
protects and that or that are part of his clique, and only he is the master of them or something. I don't know. I could see that being. I could
Also,
extrapolate that
too,
from
if
this,
I can't
think.
remember if it's revealed or not. I mean, this doesn't have to do with the sexual thing, but maybe that they try to play it off as him being upset when Link shows up to the party as being authentic because he only wants his friends there at the birthday party or
Maybe.
whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, he really was upset about that. He said it's
Yeah.
because it threw his plans off, and maybe that's
Mm.
why. Maybe it's like X factors are not welcome in his world, things that throw off
He
his
wants to be in
manipulations.
control. Mm.
So I don't know if it's sexual or not, but there's potential there, maybe.
Maybe. But yeah, I mean, when he has Laura tied up and everything like that, he's really like torturing her. I don't think they imply he's doing anything.
No, I don't think he's like
sexually to her,
actively
so.
doing sexual things
Okay.
to her. Thank
Yeah.
Christ. But
But
there might be some component
yeah.
of it. I don't know.
So looking attire, was he wearing anything good? Well, he's got his little
It's
the
mask
mask,
thing,
yeah.
It's the mask and his reasoning for it. It's like you can't really see my eyebrows, so it really accentuates my eyebrows. Fucking
Which leads
okay, man.
into patheticness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the fact that it is weird that he sticks by those rules to where he doesn't have a problem killing people, but he can't kill Seven. He wants him to do it himself or whatever. Yeah,
That's true.
so
Maybe that's like his lack of resolve or something too.
yeah, or
Is
yeah, I
what you're
don't
saying?
know. Maybe. Or
He
he like can't
fails.
break his own
I
rules.
mean,
Yeah.
like, not that he doesn't.
Does fail,
He gets killed. You know, like that's pretty.
Yeah.
That sucks. Like that's
Yeah.
pretty pathetic.
Well, he gets caught gloating about it. It's like
Yeah.
there's
Little
no
confessional.
quicker way for
Yeah.
your shit to fall apart than that.
Yeah. So yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
mean, so he hits pretty much all of them except for the sexual, which is weird because that's usually a pretty given one. That one comes up a lot.
With these kind of characters, yeah.
Yeah, so 4 out of 5 though. That ain't bad, boys. I don't
4 stars
think
out of 5.
but I don't think there was really anybody else. Like maybe Seven, and part of it, he's got some manipulation with the participating in the pranks and
Mm-hmm.
kind of pathetic a little bit, I guess.
A little
but-
pathetic. Like I don't know, a little pathetic. Like the I don't know what it hits, but like disregard for his friend's safety by taking them to this fucking dark web arms dealer's fucking van and shit. Like,
And yeah,
that's not
doing that
smart.
prank,
No,
dude.
no,
I
no.
thought something was gonna go wrong with the first prank where they're like, "Oh,
right? Yeah, like
we're
that's
gonna
the
shoot
natural
our
thing that I think
friend,"
it
and I
leads you
was
to
like,
believe.
What the fuck?
I thought it was gonna be
That was
fucking
actually a
Alec
pretty good
Baldwin-ass
twist because
shit.
I thought that definitely was like gonna fuck up somehow. But yeah, so maybe 7, maybe he hits like a couple points, but nobody's beating Milk in this one for sure.
No,
So
not
we
even
got
close.
him. We
Not a
got him.
chance.
Not even close. Yeah. Big time cooter, 4-alarm cooter, Milk. Lock him up. Throw away the key. Leave your key and the address in a little box under your bed.
All right.
Gentlemen, let's talk about what else we've been watching this week.
Hey, gang, what you been watching?
Franklin, what you been watching, man?
Oh, obviously, just Sonic the Hedgehog 3 over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
Just bitter that I didn't take the job. You know, they really wanted me to direct it, and I really thought I was above that, but I was wrong. Like it was a really spectacular script.
James Carey's a real up and comer.
Yeah, he's got a lot of potential, that kid. No, it's sincerely though, I was trying to remember what I watched recently, and I'm aside from the rehearsal, which we were talking about, and I'm finally watching season 1 of Andor so that I can watch season 2, and everybody's talking about it. I will watch it, I promise. I am a real Star Wars fan, I promise. But the thing that I do want to mention though, I guess this is more sort of me kind of coming up with a comp or a comparable film to Milk and Honey, or sorry, Milk and Cereal. Jesus, Milk and Cereal is a French film that came out, I want to say in like the early 2000s, 2002, and it's called He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not. And it stars Audrey Tautou. She was Amelie, right? And I remember watching this film when I was going to school, and it is similar to Milk and Cereal in that it has this sort of twist that recontextualizes the entire first half of the film. And I won't spoil what happens, but what I will say is that you're going to watch the first 45 minutes and think, what the, why did Franklin like this? Like, I don't understand what this is. And then there's something that happens and it becomes a genius piece of cinema. And it completely like makes that first 45 minutes of what really brilliant. And so I highly recommend that. He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not. It's in French, so watch it with subtitles. I don't know where you can find it, but it's really, really great. And if you liked Milk and Cereal, I highly recommend checking it out.
Sweet.
All right.
Thanks for the rec.
No worries.
Randy, what you been watching?
Not a ton for me this week. Just been very busy. I also am watching The Rehearsal. Got to catch up on the most recent episode, but
me too.
Yeah, I've already said a lot about it. It's tough to describe. This past week, I think I mentioned this maybe last week. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago. Some friends came over, and I was trying to tell them what it was about, and we just eventually gave up and watched the first episode together because it was just like I can't do a better job than the show can of telling you what it's about. I just can't physically do it.
Hey, Door City over here.
Yeah, dude. I mentioned somebody brought up The Rehearsal at work and said that line to me. I was like, man, if that becomes a quotable line around the fucking water cooler, this world is fucking nuts. I don't even know what to make of that. Anyway, so yeah, there's that. I also did watch Final Destination Bloodlines, and I have some thoughts on it. I may reserve those thoughts for a mini cast. I'm still thinking about it.
I just recorded one today, Randy.
Oh,
you son of a
Bob does.
I didn't know you saw
he
it.
Just snakes
God
those
damn
mini
it.
casts.
We could have double teamed it. We could have double teamed it. I didn't know.
Double teamed it, man. Well, good luck fighting death, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, that okay. So my general thoughts are that it's like it was pretty good with the bar being Final Destination 1. I think it was pretty good. It's not gonna hold the same candle to me. To me, that movie is kind of like, I don't know. It's really fucking tough to replicate, except by just taking the general like conceit and just like making big fun spectacles out of it, which this movie does well, is what I think. I think the spectacle part, the most important part, is done well. The rest of it is, it's fine. It's never been perfect in those movies by any means, so it's kind of negligible. But I also just was kind of hoping it might be a little better than it had been in the past. That's me. So yeah, that's my Final Destination Bloodlines minicast. Free. And then the last thing I saw was not a film or a piece of media, except it was a musician that I really enjoy called Chris Farren, who came and did a small set here in DC. You know Chris Farren, Rob.
Yeah.
Half of Antarctigo Vespucci with Jeff Rosenstock, as well as his own solo act. And his solo act is so fun. It's a visual component to it. It's just fucking fun shit, man. I had a really good time. I highly recommend you look it up. I'm wearing the t-shirt now. It's good. Kind of power poppy, pop punk stuff. I don't know if that's accurate. I'm bad with genres with music, but it's fun. That's really it for me, though.
Cool. Yeah, Juice, what you been watching?
I finished that movie Ash, directed by Flying Lotus and starring Aaron Paul. And yeah, it was pretty interesting. I think I liked the first half better than I liked the second half, but it's a movie that's very stylized, sci-fi, and it kind of reminded me, it was a weird thing. Made me think of a movie that would have been made in like the 2000s, but just made today is what it feels like. With just like updated graphics and look and like acting stylings
comparable
and stuff.
To say Doom or something.
Honestly, there are moments that remind me of Doom. It's got some like POV shots that kind of remind me of Doom, and yeah, honestly, it kind of does remind me of Doom a little bit. So yeah, so yeah, it was interesting. I might do a mini cast on that one.
I fell in the damn hole.
And then the
Yeah.
only other thing I watched was The Ugly Stepsister, which is now on Shudder, and it was good. It was good, and then I was putting it on my list for horror of 2025, and I was realizing like, oh, this year hasn't been that great so far. It's like we're almost halfway, and I was like, what's going on? I know there's like some big ones coming up soon. And I haven't seen Sinners yet, to be fair. I know we're covering that. So but yeah, I was just like, okay, 2025, you need to step it up a scotch. But I did like The Ugly Stepsister a lot. I liked that they played it just straight up like a fairy tale. We don't have a lot of fantasy fairy tale horror. That's just not something that's really done often, at least not these days. And yeah, they played it pretty straight, and I went ahead and recorded a mini cast on that. So you have that to look forward to.
Perfect.
Why?
We're not
What?
doubling down on everything.
I'm just fucking around. I don't mean to
Yeah.
mislead the investors. I know Bob already recorded one for that.
The
I don't mean that's gonna hold up great in court.
I don't mean to mislead. It's a
I
prank,
didn't
bro. It's just a
mean to.
prank. It's a prank.
I really didn't mean to embezzle. It was a prank.
No, I didn't actually record a money cash. Just fuck with
Can't take a
Bob.
joke, can you? Huh.
But yeah, that's all I've been watching. Did we go to Bob yet? Bob, you still gotta talk about what you've been watching? I can't remember.
You watch any of those
Yeah.
fucking things behind you yet?
Yeah.
No, none of those. I haven't watched a whole heck of a lot this week, but we've been watching The Wire, finished up season 4. It's devastating.
Yeah.
I think
Very,
that's
very
my
good
favorite
shit.
season.
Beautiful.
And we're like 4 episodes into season 5, I think. And so far I'm enjoying it more than I recall enjoying season 5. It's holding up pretty well
It
so
felt
far.
like a drop off the first time I watched season 5. Where I was
Yeah.
like, there's a little bit something, and I can identify what it is, but I don't want to say it in case anybody wants to actually watch the show. 'cause they
Yeah.
should.
Just
Um,
the overall average of The Wire is just extremely high, though. So really enjoying rewatching all that. And then, yeah, Final Destination Bloodlines. I saw that in the theaters. Really fun popcorn flick. Like I said, I have a mini cast on it. So keep your eyes peeled for that dropping soon. That's really it, though. Not a whole lot this week. We do have one voicemail, though. So let's go ahead and jump over into our hotline screams.
Hotline scream.
If you guys would like to call in and leave a voicemail for next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We're going to hear from our friend, the librarian. What's she got to say?
Hi, divas. My in-law story is my last girlfriend. Her mom thinks I made her queer. When I first started dating her, she had not yet transitioned to female, and apparently I'm the most contagious queer person because after we broke up, she did come out as trans femme, but there were signs early on, like she liked stealing my nail polish and trying on my skirts, and we moved in after 4 months of dating. Like, we U-hauled it. She was a queer girl. We just didn't know. Anyway, yeah, her mom was like a classic mean girl to me. Like, she'd dead name me behind my back and say shit like, I don't like who she's turning you into, whenever my ex would, like, express femininity. Anyway, my ex is super cool. We are still friends on the internet, and I wish her nothing but the best. The best part about us breaking up, however, is I never have to deal with her mother again. So,
Nice.
also, I sent a check via carrier pigeon for Yabos coins or whatever the fuck you guys are building. I'm ready to invest. So, bye!
I love that there's just like a ton of narrative pipe for that message that we did not set up this episode at all.
We did.
Yeah.
So we covered Ready or Not last week, which led us to pose the question, like, if you got any horror stories about your in-laws, call in and let us know. And that's the setup for all of that. There you
Yeah,
go.
Bob seemed like
Except
he
for-
had a little hidden story in there, but maybe we don't want to let that loose out on there.
Nah, it's
your,
fine.
Your
It's
Q-Check coin will be coming by.
Yeah, and our meme stock is, only going up. So
On the
we
rise.
gotta invest
To the
of
moon.
course, yeah.
all
For the
way to moon,
tendies.
all
We're
the way
doing it.
to Uranus.
We're doing the thing. Librarian, sounds like you dodged a bit of a bullet there. I know after we hung out in New Orleans, I'm a little gayer now, so you are pretty contagious. The
Hell yeah.
butthole. The butthole. I for next week, if you guys want to call in, I want to hear about pranks, practical jokes, anything. What have you done? The nastiest practical joke.
The nastiest.
The
Bob.
nastiest. What's the
You cad.
nastiest thing? Franklin, what's the most fucked up thing you've ever done? Go ahead and put it on air.
Legal, illegal, you're safe here, my brother.
Yeah.
Don't
long as
worry.
this-
We've heard of lawyers before, so we're good.
Yeah, this isn't going on the internet, right? This is
No,
just
no.
Oh no, we would never monetize this content and expose
This
Also,
is
too, any kind of dark shit you have on Mike Flanagan too. That might be fun to talk.
You stay on his futon and shit, right? Well, that's the whole deal.
Well, what kind of fucked up shit is he into?
Yeah, just for our ears. Just for our ears.
I actually
legal, illegal.
Maybe on a different. There's a story that comes to mind, but it takes a little bit of time. You know what? I'll give the broad strokes here. Just that, and this happened recently. This happened in February. So I'm currently an artist in residency at a local art school in town. And that just means that I come in and help the film cinematic arts kids with their screenplays and give them notes and feedback and stuff. But it's not clear. I'm not a sub or a teacher. I'm just sort of brought in basically as a guest. But for 2 years, they've never given me a badge. And all I'll say is that in February, I accidentally, just because a custodian saw me walking around without a badge, I accidentally triggered a lockdown, like one of those like active shooter lockdowns.
Oh fuck!
And
I might have got an email about that. I think I'm still on their email list.
Oops.
And it was a crazy experience. It's the first time I've ever been put in handcuffs. And
holy shit!
The whole story, but it was great. Like and now, like I have so much cred with the student. They were like, yeah, fuck the police, free our boy, Mr. Rich. It's incredible.
Did they give you a badge?
I finally have a badge.
Fuck yeah, goddamn.
That's insane.
I heard you were in the back of the car saying what smells like pork in here and shit like that. Is that true? Oh my god.
It was scary. I mean, it was this weird thing where I was like surrounded by 80 cops, and then they were just like,
that's terrifying.
It pointed, and that was the whole thing too. I mean, it's a whole story, but I was like in the studio space with the students, and we had all the lights out. And I remember the kids are all like texting back and forth, and it's like, oh, they're going into this building. The police are looking for someone. They don't know, like they think there's an active shooter or whatever. And one of the kids is like, apparently they're looking for someone with red hair. And
oh my God.
And I had no idea that they were looking for me at the time.
Oh my God.
And so I was freaked out. So I positioned myself like right in front of the door.
This racial profiling has to end.
Yeah, right. I had positioned myself right in front of the door with like my crisscross applesauce on the ground, away from the kids, right, with my hands up. And as soon as like they open the door, they unlock the door. There's flashlights in my face, and I just hear, "Yep, it's a redhead. Get him out!"
Oh my god,
that's crazy.
So that's probably the most. It might be the most fucked up thing that's ever happened to me, or that I like caused.
I'd be pissing my shorts. That's terrifying.
It's a lockdown, bro.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, but you're also like you're way cooler now in my eyes. So
yeah.
You got that going for you.
It was fun.
Start printing up free Franklin tees. You can buy those over on our website.
Anyways, sorry to keep this up, but
no, that's awesome. I mean, that's not awesome, but
that's
thanks for
top
sharing.
Story I'm going to tell. So
cool. Yeah, call in 904-638-3231. Got any pranks or practical jokes? Let us know.
We'll be back. Cereal.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, what you eating? Favorite cereal?
What you eating?
Oh yeah, what is your favorite cereal? What was your go-to cereal?
Yeah,
oh, shit.
Eat it with milk.
It was peanut butter Captain Crunch for me.
Ooh.
I hated the roof of my mouth. I wanted it to suffer, and
why does it do that? It's the only one
I don't know.
that does
it just doesn't soak in quickly enough or something.
I like Captain Crunch though, but
it's
yeah,
delicious.
It's the only cereal that fucks you up like that. I don't know
literally
why.
leaves fucking scars. I don't understand.
Damn.
My mouth has seen a trauma, and it was peanut butter flavored.
Because it's just sugar, but I used to love Lucky Charms and Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and the Reese's Puffs. Those are good too.
CT Crunch is hard to beat too.
Oof, it's so good.
Just candy floating in milk.
It really is.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
dessert.
Delicious.
I like to just pour milk over Hershey's Kisses and call it breakfast.
Oh my God. We love dairy over here. Big dairy boys.
Oh,
Um, We'll be back next week with a new show as always. We're talking about Sinners.
Whoa.
Check it out.
Ooh.
Check it out. Get ready for next week's show.
Yeah.
Franklin, again, thanks so much for sitting in with us this week, dude. We love having you on.
Thank you guys. Anytime, anytime. I will always hop on. I love talking about films with you guys, and thank you so much for inviting me again.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Don't get arrested. Stay out of
I'm
jail.
gonna try. Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, check out Sinners, check out The Artifice Girl, and until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
Fight back!